Welcome back to the Cinema Lounge. It's me, Ben, on my own this week because Marshall is off being busy being in love and crap. So he's off hanging out with his fiance in Colombia, and I'm here in Lincoln, Nebraska. And you know what? I've been watching movies on my own this time, and this week I'm going to be presenting to you in the lounge Tarzan. So pull up a chair, get whatever lounge materials you need, some loafers, a robe, a pipe, a whiskey, whatever it is. And yeah, let's talk about Tarzan today. Cue the intro. So, this week, talking to you about a little something called Tarzan from 1999. This is the final movie in what was known as the Disney Renaissance, all the 2D animated movies from 1989 to 1999, and we're going to talk a bit about that. But first, a bit of backstory. I was a little late to the party on watching all these Disney Renaissance movies. Didn't start watching them until I was in, college. So unlike a lot of people, I don't really have a lot of childhood memories of these movies. You know, I was born in 1996, so a lot of people grew up with these movies on VHS, or, you know, if you're real young, maybe you grew up with it on DVD. But I didn't grow up with these, mostly because my parents were a little protective of me. From a young age. Well, you know what? They might have been a little overprotective, but also they may have been protecting themselves, because I may have been a bit annoying every time we watched a 2D animated Disney movie, because if an animal died, I lost my crap. I could not handle it if any creature died in the movie. I think it all started with Bambi. We never finished that one. I'm trying to think what else. Name a Disney movie where an animal dies. You know, most Disney movies. And I was inconsolable, unable to finish the movies. You know, I was a softie. I liked animals. It was kind of my thing. I think I wanted to be a vet when I grew up, honestly, or a zoologist or something. I was more of a watching the Steve Irwin, Jeff Corwin, Crocodile Hunter, save the planet type thing, keep a respectful distance, appreciate the wildlife. If we're going to catch it, we're going to let it go, just observing. I was into that kind of stuff, not so much into using creatures as a trope to make people feel things, So anyway, my parents protected me from a lot of these movies. I didn't watch a lot of them until I was older, about college aged. And I decided, everyone else talks about these things. I'll start watching a few of them. So, out of all of these, for this short little episode, I chose Tarzan because I was thinking of which movie, movies that have emotionally affected me. And surprisingly, Tarzan was one that emotionally affected me. And not for the reason you might think, which is that early on in the movie, a baby gorilla dies. No. Spoilers, by the way. Spoilers. Baby gorilla does die. So if you're not prepared for that, don't watch it. So I actually went into the movie quite expecting there's going to be an animal that dies. It's Tarzan. We're in the Congo rainforest in Africa, Fun fact, this was back in the day before, the internet was huge, 1999. So Disney, actually, all of the animators, the lead animators got together, took a trip to Uganda to go do some research, sketch up what they wanted this world to kind of look like. They even brought in a baby gorilla, I believe it was, or maybe it was just a chimp. I think they maybe just brought in a chimp for all of the animators to sketch up and kind of analyze, back before you could just Google up and go down a deep, dark rabbit trail on YouTube of watching baby gorillas do silly things. Anyway, I digress. So if going into it, there is going to be a gorilla that dies. I was expecting an animal to die. I was emotionally prepared for that. What I wasn't emotionally prepared for was right off the bat being hit with dilemmas of all family, or that all families go through it one time or another, loss. Right away, it's a gorilla family. They lose a child. And Tarzan, of course, right at the beginning of the movie, loses his birth parents, his human parents. So less than 5 minutes into this movie, I find myself weeping, which I don't think I was expecting to be so emotionally affected. But some of my history is growing up around high school. My mom developed alcoholism, and that became a battle for the rest of her life. And I think the mother-son relationship is obviously a huge part of this movie, as well as the mother-father relationship. Or sorry, the father-son relationship, mother-son, father-son relationships. But right at the beginning of the movie, it's a very motherly relationship that's, the forefront of the plot, right? Kala loses her baby and then adopts Tarzan. And I think right away I was engaging with this movie in a way of, at that point, at the point I had seen it, my mom was still alive, and I think that loss was something that I hadn't fully processed yet. And so this movie is actually really impactful to me within the processing of, even when my mom was alive, feeling like I had lost out on this mother-son relationship. And up until a couple of years ago, in 2020, my mom passed away after many years of being an alcoholic. And the thing that this movie doesn't touch on that I think is fascinating is, not only does Kala tell Tarzan at some point, the middle of the movie, Tarzan's debating, do I leave my mom? Do I leave my family? Do I leave with these people who seem like they're a lot like me? Have I found my people? Have I found my person, my wife? Or at that point, I guess the love interest, Jane. Do I leave with them or do I stay with my family? And what Kala says to Tarzan is, go, do what makes you happy, be with the person you want to be with, because I'm your mom, you'll be in my heart.
Instruct him in the matters of loss and pain. Make him suffer. Make him wish he were dead.
Yes.
And then grant his wish.
But how?
The cunning warrior attacks neither body nor mind.
Tell me how!
The heart, Osborne. First, we attack his heart.
Forever, and a process that nearly every human goes through, if we're lucky enough to live long enough to experience it, is that we transition from us being in our parents' heart.
The cunning warrior attacks neither body nor mind.
Tell me how!
The heart, Osborne. First, we attack his heart.
Hearts to our parents being in our hearts.
The cunning warrior attacks neither body nor mind.
Tell me how!
The heart, Osborne. First, we attack his heart.
So as I rewatched this movie, I'm thinking about that. This message that Kala says to Tarzan: "You'll be in my heart." Tarzan gets to a point where eventually Kala is in his heart, as she eventually passes on outside of the movie. And I guess in a way, Kerchak dies in the movie, and in the same way, Kerchak is in Tarzan's heart. So, yeah, that's what I've been thinking about. That's what I thought about this time as I rewatched the movie. So I think I'm probably more emotionally affected by this plot than I don't know, maybe some people who watch this. I think, everybody who watches it has their own connections that they're making to it. That's the beauty of movies, is we all have our own life experiences, life stories. And, sometimes you love a movie that no one else loves because of something specifically that film speaks to your life and your experience. So yeah, that's why Tarzan speaks to me out of all of the 2D Disney movies. So I wonder, maybe sometime Marshall and I in a full-length episode can talk about all of the Disney Renaissance 89 to 99 movies. Maybe we could even rank them. That'd be fun. Hey Marshall, if you're listening to this, well, one, hopefully, I hope the trip was good. Miss you, buddy. Tell Laura hi for me. Second of all, maybe we should rank the Disney Renaissance movies. That could be fun. We could do a little bit more deep dive too into the history. If you as a listener right now are interested in the history of the Disney Renaissance, there's a lot of good stuff on the internet and on YouTube that will talk about some of the history of Disney that I'm not going to take the time to get into because this is a short episode this week. But go check those out if you're interested in a bit more Disney history. Marshall, maybe we can get into it on a full-length episode sometime. So, anyway, I like Tarzan out of all of them. It speaks to me. I don't know if I actually sat down and talked and thought about it. Maybe I wouldn't even rank it as top number one. But I was thinking, which of these emotionally affected me the most? The other ones just didn't make me cry. This one made me cry. So, while I'm talking about them, let's list them off here. From 1989 to 1999, what was known as the Disney Renaissance 2D animation was back, baby. So that included some of these you may know, some of them you may never have heard of, or you don't remember, you watched once and forgot about. Here's the list. It's called The Little Mermaid is first, 1989. Then 1990 was The Rescuers Down Under. Beauty and the Beast was 1991, followed by Aladdin, then The Lion King in 1994, Pocahontas in 95, The Hunchback of Notre Dame that's embarrassing, The Hunchback of Notre Dame, come on, 1996, hey, birth year, there we go. Hercules was 97, Mulan 98, and then Tarzan rounded it out in 1999. So, listeners, I read through the list. Maybe one of those, or a couple of those you like more than the others, or you might have even a favorite movie there. So all of these movies are linked by some similarities that kind of group them into this Disney Renaissance. So almost all of them feel like a musical. That was a big goal as they were kind of setting into this time period. The movies themselves are really paced out by big musical numbers that are big key points to each of the plots. So whether it's The Little Mermaid, Beauty and the Beast, Lion King, Mulan, these musical numbers really drive the plot forward. And all of them have, in a lot of ways, some of those princess tropes, a big grand world, a big grand story, a very evil, obviously evil villain, good guy, bad guy, kind of a hero's journey, all of that stuff, a love interest, all of those princess type tropes you find in these Disney Renaissance movies. So Tarzan is a little different than some of the others, and I think I like that. Obviously, there's a less obvious princess type story, but from the musical standpoint, oh my gosh, Phil Collins, you dog, absolutely crushes this film. We've got the Tarzan soundtrack on CD in the car right now. Absolute bangers, okay? Phil Collins comes from that drumming background, and obviously the drum. What's the right word here? Drum rhythms. There's a lot you can do within the music, drum wise, for a Tarzan movie compared to Mulan or compared to Hercules. So Phil Collins fits perfectly in there. And out of all of the Disney Renaissance films, these 2D animated films of the 90s, I think the Phil Collins songs blends seamlessly into the soundtrack. I think even better than a lot of the other movies. I think as standalone songs, they're pretty great across the entire movie, as opposed to one-offs in Mulan or a one-off in The Lion King. Every song I think is pretty timeless in Tarzan, and it's pretty impressive that each of these individual songs tell an important part of the Tarzan story, and yet also can be blended in to the rest of the score. So that's what I love about Tarzan. Love the music. Love a lot of the fast action, and of course the I think it's magical how a 2D animated film, you can take some creative liberties with what is possible. I think one of the issues with the live action remakes of a lot of these movies is that the magic just doesn't translate to the live action. It's hokey, it's silly, but within a 2D animation, I think as the viewer, you suspend a lot of the disbelief of some of these silly things happening, whether it's animals talking, whether it's Tarzan surfing through the trees. I think that is pretty fun and unique within this Tarzan film. So I love the score, love the musical numbers. I think the characters are fun, and I think this just kind of checks all the boxes in terms of a fun Disney movie for the whole family. I think it's a very easy in for kids watching this movie. I think that parents watching along, some of the parenting motifs, the parent-child themes, speaks to parents watching. At the box office, out of all these movies of the Disney Renaissance, Tarzan comes in at number 2 for the U.S. revenue, making $171 million. Number 1 on the list, let you think about it for a second, guess, top box office above Tarzan in the 1990s was The Lion King. Yeah, The Lion King, with big box office revenue, $422 million, which placed it all-time domestic box office, ranked in at number 22. Where Tarzan falls way down the list, number 228. So there you go. Kind of fun. Anyway, yeah. So Tarzan comes in at number 2 there from an income standpoint for all these Disney movies. Yeah, I don't know. What's your favorite, listener? Picking between Tarzan, Mulan, Hercules, Lion King, Pocahontas, Aladdin, Beauty and the Beast, The Little Mermaid. Maybe throw out your favorite, your top picks in the Cinema Lounge Discord. And if you're not there, go join it, yo. Come talk to us. Talk about your favorites here. Maybe we'll make it into a full-length episode one of these days. Now, what do I not like about Tarzan compared to these other Disney movies? Compared to the other Renaissance princess type movies, I think this movie suffers specifically from not having as compelling a villain as some of the other movies. I think those other movies have iconic villains: Ursula, Scar, Gaston, Jafar, those villains that are memorable to you, and also I think to this day get a better treatment within Disney. Those bad guys that are kind of fun they're fun in how evil or how obvious of a villain they are. And to this day, I think you see those villains pop up within the pop culture, within other Disney products, as opposed to in Tarzan. It's just not the same. Could you even name the bad guy in Tarzan if I don't say it? I'll give you a second to think. Who's the baddie? Okay, his name's Clayton, voiced by Brian Blessed. So Clayton, not really a name that sticks in your brain compared to those other ones. Scar, Jafar, Ursula, you know. So anyway, I think this movie suffers from that. I think the second half of the film, it's just not that compelling. The end fight between the two of them, not great. But I think throughout the movie, I think the animation's really great. The action scenes feel action-packed, even compared to some of these other films. They actually were using a new technology. Actually, Tarzan was the most expensive animated film up until that point. $130 million spent on the film because they were, one of the reasons was they were developing a new process, some computer-assisted background painting. They called it Deep Canvas. And if you go online, you can take a look at how they use this technology, but it plays out in fun scenes like Tarzan surfing through the jungle, where they're able to, move multiple pieces, give you a lot of depth to the movement within the movie, give you that exciting kind of, whether it's a chase scene, him surfing, the final fight, whatever it is, without that new technology being used here, it would have been, a pretty boring 2D film. But they were, I think, really well, and I think it stands up pretty well to this day, able to blend those two technologies, the hand-drawn 2D as well as the computer-assisted background stuff, which I think is pretty neat. So anyway, Tarzan. There it is, everybody. Thanks for joining me. Wow, this actually ended up going longer than I thought it would. We're clocking in at like 20 minutes. If I'm being honest, I was going to record like a 15-minute pod. I didn't think I could do a long version like Marshall. Also, it's not midnight. Last time Marshall did that long solo podcast, he got delirious at like 1 a.m. So, I'm a little bit more reasonable. I'm recording this in the afternoon. So, sorry, Marshall. It's a little short, but hey, I think for an off week, it's just great. Thanks for being a part of what we do here, guys. Go check out some of these 2D Renaissance movies from Disney in the 1990s. Tell us what you think. If you think we should rank them, you think we should go and talk about another one, talk about your favorite, let us know in the comments. Leave a review, get in the Discord, all the stuff. I can't wait to see you guys there. Thanks for being here. I've been Ben, and this has been Tarzan. Bye.